Hi, everybody. This is Kathy L. Murphy, and I'm reporting live from Murphy's Law, my little cabin in the woods of East Texas. And I am so excited to be here today with two of my favorite authors. One is brand new and one I've known for some time, but I want to begin with Jim because Jim was first in my agenda. Jim wrote a wonderful book called Big Lucky. And when I heard about this book, I knew immediately I had to write it because Jim he's not a hairdresser per se. He is a stylist to the stars. I mean, he started out with Paul Newman. He's done all these incredible people's hair through the years. And we're going to talk about that. He's also had all these beauty companies. And I was just talking to him prior to recording that one of the lines that I carried of his was Pureology, which had the most wonderful fragrance to it in the world. It was all natural and organic. Oh, it was just fantastic. So we're going to be talking. Jim, you want to say a few words to hide everybody out there?
Hi, everybody. It's fun to be here with Kathy. It's always fun. Kathy is wonderful at what she does, and it's exciting to be here, Kathy.
Well, tell us where you're coming in from, because I think it's also important to know that our book club has always been international. But I'm even with my new launch this coming year for Kathy L. Murphy Big Book Love, I'm going even more international in the sense that I want our books to go around the world. And I'm working on that very hard because the same people that would be interested here in East Texas are even going to be more interested in all the places you are in the world and where I go in the world, because I'm planning on going soon as I get out of graduate school. So Kathy L. Book Love is going to be starting January 1st. The Pulpit Queens is going into hiatus. I don't know. Maybe I'll bring it back for our 50th anniversary when I'm old and decrepit. But for now, it's Kathy L. Murphy Big Book Love. So tell us where you're located right now and where you live, Jim.
Right now, I'm living in Kona, Hawaii half the time, and in Beverly Hills the other half the time.
Oh my gosh!
Split it up.
Years ago, I was doing an art festival over at the gallery in Decorate Ornate, and Jim agreed, and I don't even remember, it was some godforsaken time that he had to call in, but he agreed to do a live Zoom shoot from Gladewater, Texas. And, the generosity of my authors is just frankly unbelievable. And that was just one of my favorite interviews, Jim, because I swear, you guys, I'll ask you and you go, sure. And I go, what? I'm surprised. But thank you for being here. And now we're going to go on to my other featured author. And this is Tai Soon Burgess. And this is his wonderful book, Chino and the Dance of the Butterfly. It has really amazing, both of them, amazing covers. They're both featured on the covers. I'm getting this centered here. They're both featured on the covers, and we'll talk about where you can get these books, but these are both books of mine. And Dana is living now. Where are you living, Dana?
I'm in Washington, D.C.
So we're in Hawaii and Washington, D.C. I mean, that's just about as far apart as you can get. And here I am smack dab in the middle of well, we don't call it the South here. We call it Texas. Texas into its own. But Dana runs a incredible dance company of his own name in Washington, D.C., and he has performed in galleries and in places that I can't believe. So we're going to be talking about that and his book. But so let's talk about first, you guys, and I'll start with you, Jim. Where were you born and raised, Jim?
I was born in Houston, Texas. I was raised in New Mexico. And, I don't know how much you want to elaborate, Kathy, but I was born in Texas, raised in New Mexico, came to California in '69 when Jay Sebring was killed with Sharon Tate, and I took over Sebring. And that's how I really got there, is taking over for Jay and moving to Hollywood.
Well, for those who aren't of our generation, can you explain who Jay Sebring was? And can you tell people are going to know of today's age because of the movie that was made kind of about this. So talk a little bit about that.
Well, I started out as a barber, charging $1.50 a haircut. And I read in Playboy about Jay Sebring cutting, all those movie stars and charging $50 a haircut. So Jay was the hairstylist of the stars. He, before me, cut Paul Newman, Steve McQueen, Frank Sinatra, and he was the guy. I mean, he was
The man.
the man. Yeah, but Vidal Sassoon was the guy for women. Jay Sebring was the guy for men. And I flew to meet with Jay, and he charged me $1,000 to watch him cut a head of hair. And I loved what he did. He was doing something I wasn't doing, and I had won all these awards internationally and nationally, but he was doing something I wasn't. That's cutting shape in the hair. He was a charming little guy, about 5'6", 125, so charming. And everyone knew Jay. I'd go out with Jay, and everyone knew him. He was so charming, and he was the guy. I mean, I kind of followed his concept and made Sebring very popular. Jay started Ben's hairstyle. I followed it through, and I kind of made it happen nationally. But Jay was always the guy. He still is the guy.
Yeah. And how old were you when you first met him?
I think I first met Jay when I was 23, 22.
Oh,
and he was 10 years older than me. So I was like 24, I'm thinking 24, and he was 34. And it was just amazing, and it changed my life completely. He was Sharon. He lived with Sharon Tate for about 3 years. She then married Roman Polanski, and at the end, Sharon and Jay were together and killed together. So pretty interesting stories behind all that.
Yeah, I can remember when the Manson murders went on, and oh gosh, it still is chilling to me. And I've kind of, in the back of my mind, always kind of kept an eye that he's still in prison because that
Yeah.
man was really, really scary. And if you
Oh, yeah.
read Jim's book, you're going to find out more. And you can also, you have a website, don't you, Jim, where they
Yes.
ask you questions and different things too.
Absolutely. Jim Markham Enterprises.
Yeah. Well, it's we'll talk a little bit more about that, but the connection here today is I just had Dana for the first time to my annual convention. And first of all, he's the most, both of you are, but he is the most handsome new guy I've ever met in my life. And his clothing style was drop down dead. I mean, Met Gala. I mean, he had on this lavender. Oh my God. I was just, this brooch. I was just enamored with him, hanging on every word, just like I did with his book. And I've been reaching out to him all year because I've been wanting to paint him because I have painted every nationality in the world, but you have a very unique nationality and heritage. And you grew up where?
I was born in Carmel Valley, and then as a very small child, my parents, who were visual artists, moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico. So I also grew up in New Mexico as well.
It's just so wild that you guys would end up in this. New Mexico is one of my favorite places to visit. And I love the climate all year round. I mean, it's a dry desert heat. It's high. Albuquerque in that area, Santa Fe is kind of where all my college friends went to get their masters and different things. So it's a beautiful part of the country. But what is it about you two that have become such rising stars in your industry? I mean, do you think it was your upbringing? And let's just do this, organically, whoever wants to go first. What brought you to this determination of where you were going with your life's gifts and talents?
You know what? I think mine was just desire to do better. I always read a lot of motivational books, how to win friends, influence people, probably changed my life. Because in his book, he says, if you're in a place where you're doing what you don't want to do in life, pack your bags and move to where you can do it. And about 2 weeks later, I had moved from Farmington to Albuquerque, and I started the salon there. And I think this desire to improve and do better. And then a lot of times it's a lot of luck involved. Sometimes it's like when preparation meets opportunity. And I was prepared, and Jay Sebring got killed with Sharon Tate. Then I moved to California and took over his company. and started cutting $50 haircuts. But one of the key things that I hadn't elaborated much about is I was charging $50 a haircut, but I didn't charge anybody because everybody I cut was JC Ringtoe clients, and I wanted them to convert to me. So I was cutting their hair for free for about a year. So that was one of the key to my successes. Had so much desire to do better. They liked having a free haircut, and I wanted to make them customers, and I wanted to, get their pictures and use their celebrity status for me, and that's what I did, and that was one of the keys to mine. But this is desire and motivation to improve my life, I think, was the key to my success. And reading all these motivational books helped me a lot.
Wow. What about you, Dana?
I write a little bit about this in the book
Yeah.
too. I often think my parents are both visual artists, both modern painters and textile designer. And I think about how my parents and their parents, etc., instilled these hopes and dreams for themselves that became unrequited. And that somehow those unrequited hopes and dreams pushed me forward to make things happen that hadn't happened in their lives. And I really think that from the moment a baby is held, somehow we're programmed. We get all that emotional download from a parent, all the sadness, all the unrequited hopes and dreams, all of their happiness too, of course. But there is something about that physical download that really drove my dance career, I think.
Wow. During the time of COVID, we had a lot of isolation. And, a lot of epiphanies came to me during this time. I kind of found out who I was and what I was made of. And I used to think I was the weakest person in the world. Now I know I'm as strong as steel because it's been a tough time. But do you think COVID affected your drive even further? Or do you think it kind of put you on hold?
I think it kind of put everybody on hold, although while we were down, there was a lot to accomplish. I mean, I was finishing up my book during that period, and we kind of got stopped. We were from Los Angeles, from Beverly Hills area, and we got here on vacation in Hawaii, and then COVID came, and so we came for 12 days and stayed 13 months. So we couldn't leave. So while we were here, we was really fine tuning our book. We came up with the book in 2020. And it was really a fun process to do a book about being successful and how did you get there and what can you do going forward. And, I'm a real big believer on that. We're all made to win. You just have to apply yourself. Sometimes you get a little luck, you need a little luck. But if you really try, God made you to win, not lose. And I really believe that. And I got a formula for that in my book.
Well, it's a good formula too, because I like to follow everything that you say. And the same with Dana. Dana, how in the world did you get to Washington, D.C. and starting your own dance company? That's just, it's on beyond my wildest dreams. I can't even imagine how you did that.
Well, this is like all pre-internet because now dancers can research dance companies and, but back then it was such an interesting thing. We would dedicate our whole education and dance to a dream that somehow there was a field out there where we were going to succeed. But we had very little information in Santa Fe because and in New Mexico in general, because this is, way before Santa Fe style hit the runways, right? So it was really, Santa Fe was a small artist community, a sleepy southwestern town. And so I went to the University of New Mexico and I was going to be an accountant because I thought, oh my gosh,
thank God.
I see how hard it is for my parents to, be visual artists. This has been our life. And I thought, I'm going to try and figure out what money is. And I went to classes for the first week and I immediately was failing them all because of course I was horrible at these accounting classes. So I started ditching my classes and walking around the university and I stumbled upon the dance building and I just went into the dance building and started sneaking into dance classes until one day a teacher said, oh, you're doing really well in these classes. This is great. Now all you need to do is sign up for classes or I have to kick you out. So So I started really studying full force, not just what I had been doing in Santa Fe, etc. And decided that I was going to leave school my junior year, move to the East Coast, and get in a company, and that's what I did. And a company recruited me to come out to Washington. Long story short, they didn't make good on my contract, and I was sort of stranded here. And in being stranded, I thought to myself, I am not going to show my face in Mexico again until I am successful in this field. Like literally, that's what happened. And so I just started building a career.
It's amazing to me, the determination. But when both of you, I mean, you worked hard to get where you are. And when you work that hard and you achieve your dream, it's so much more rich, isn't it? I mean, to see when I think about, what both of you have accomplished, I go, it's so inspiring to me because both of you chose arts careers. And I was not allowed to major in art in college. My mother said, no, and you're going to be a school teacher. Well, I did not want to be a school teacher. I really, at that point in my life, didn't even like kids. Now I just adore them. But I, I had a difficult time being a kid. The last thing I wanted to do was work with kids. So after the first semester, I kind of sneakingly changed my major to design because they didn't even have fine arts major. And, that's back when they sent your parents your grades and of course, everything I took in design, I got A's in, and everything else I was getting C's, D's, even F's. So they basically my mother told me, you're on your own. You didn't do what we said, so you figure it out. And so I'd gone to the local beauty school gym with my roommate and gotten a haircut. And I watched this girl and I was watching this guy next to her. And it was a Redken college. You could tell that this was something new. This was not a beauty operator. This was the time of Adal Sassoon. And, I was just enamored. The Farrah Fawcett and the Dorothy Hamill were popular. And I thought, that looks like cutting hair is kind of an art. I could do that. And so then it was convincing my parents, even though they told me I had to pay for it, but I did it. And I've been doing it for all my life. It's what put me through college. So, but what is it about, advice for young people today that are choosing something in the arts? What would your advice be to them about, these are big dreams, and it's a proven fact you don't usually make. In fact, every profession I've ever got in, I've never made any money. So I need help, Jim. So anyway, I need advice. So tell us why you didn't let that deter you from going after what you really wanted to do.
Well, what? I think it's important that you first identify what it is you want to do, like you chose haircutting. And then you need to determine how much money can you make. And then you need to figure out what's the potential of doing X amount of haircuts a day and color. And then at the end of the week, you have to pay rent. And how much do you end up with? Well, I kind of maxed out on haircuts. So the next thing I did was raise my prices. And I always kind of had a theory, and Sebring as well had the same theory, that when you book up, if you go up 20%, you'll probably lose 20% of the business, but you'll end up at the same place, but with more money. And just keep and less work, more work, more pay and less work. And I kind of use that philosophy, but then I got into products, and products really paid so much more money than haircutting. So I could do what I love, which was haircutting, and develop products for people that really was concerned with their scalp and their hair and maintaining their color. And I found that retailing products, I made a lot more money with it than I did cutting hair. So I went into distributing products and made more money with products than I did with haircutting, but I kept cutting hair to teach the method. And so I think you need to find your niche and where can you make the most money. And oftentimes you're just a little bit lucky, but don't stop until you achieve that goal. Don't stop. It's accomplishable just need to find it, keep looking until you get it, identify it, and move forward.
It's true. How about you, Dana?
You know, when I grew up in Santa Fe, I went to bilingual schools in Spanish, and my mom's Korean American, and my father spoke German and Mandarin and French and English. He was a language expert from the Navy, World War II. And there were so many disparate languages and cultures. You know, my best friend was Native American, that I think when I got to the East Coast, which is another huge different culture, I was so in shell shock. And I kept thinking, like, what is my language? How do I communicate with others? How do I express what my stories are or the stories I'm interested in? And back then, an Asian American male dancer was like an anomaly, really, you know? And so I started thinking about this intersectional identity, you know, all the things that somehow made sense to me and didn't make sense to others. And how was I going to communicate that? And so I realized my calling was really movement and dance, because that's its own language and it transcends all those, you know, written and oral, you know, languages and verbal languages. So that is why I just kept focusing on dance. And I really feel like there was no other path for me. Like, that's what I was going to do. I had no other, once I really decided on dance, I never wavered.
It's so true. You know, I always wanted to be an artist. So it was because of hairdressing was a means to an end. So, you know, people go, why'd you want to become a hairdresser? I go, I didn't. I was just looking for something that would pay me more than $1.18 an hour, which was what they were paying for, you know, minimum wage. And you can't go to college for $1.18 an hour. And I kept going to these jobs, trying to get jobs without a college degree. And they said, you're overqualified. I'm having it happen right now. I cannot find a job because they said you're overqualified. I go, I just want to work, people. I want to go to school. I need a job. So it's this dogged determination that I love to paint. I was just washing the paint off and changing clothes before this meeting. But I love everything that you guys are doing too. I love to dance. I don't think you ever get old to move. And I love hair cutting, because there's not a person on this earth I look at and say, oh, we can do better than that. You know, there's so many people that do not realize I don't think they look in the mirror. And they also, I think fear is the number one factor why people don't go after their dreams. What is your opinion on that?
I think fear is absolutely, and they don't think they can do it.
Right.
And you know what, they can do it. That's the interesting part. And like you said, you know, you see everybody and you think you can do better. I think it's really important that most men in particular, don't realize they got a bad haircut. Most of them
Oh
think
my
they're getting
gosh.
a good
No
haircut.
kidding. No
And
kidding.
it's like you cut their hair and they say, well, I've got like what I have. They think what they have is good. And what they have most of the time is not good, as you know. And a lot of women often the same thing. They think you got what they want or they need, and they really need an update. But that's kind of our inside joke. We know that, but they don't know that. That's an interesting part. So your profession, you know, provided a means to an end. Mine did as well. I thought I was going to do hair cutting for life, but I ended up cutting hair just as a way to teach the method. I taught my method cutting hair, but I didn't cut hair every day for a living. I used products as my way of getting making money, and I did that 5 different times, 5 different companies, 5 different concepts. So there's a lot of concepts that work, and you just have to find one that you love, find one you can do, and find one you can teach, and be successful at it, because there's a lot of ways to be successful. And I think people need to realize there's a lot of ways, not just one way, because you look out there and you see, there's just nothing for me. There is. You just have to find it.
And I can't remember what celebrity I heard. Oh, I know. It was the guy who starred in that. Oh, gosh, I'll think of his name here in a minute. But he said, you know, if you don't go after the job that you want, you'll just be working for somebody else in their dreams.
That's it. That's
And
it.
and
Mhm.
I thought, I'm not going to let this fail define me. In fact, you don't have really failures. You discover something didn't work. And I had a
Yeah.
hairdresser tell me that. He said, "Well, how do you know when somebody's a good colorist?" And everybody said, "Well, you know, the color always comes out right." And he goes, "Wrong. A good colorist is what is the one that can fix something that went wrong."
Yeah.
Because there's all kinds of things they don't tell you that they didn't. They used this box color on their hair before you did, you know, whatever you were doing. And I thought that is so true. He goes, but don't call them mistakes, call them discover. You discovered. You need to ask more questions before you color somebody's hair, and you need to stand firm in your choices when you do. um, More hairdressers get into trouble because they let people talk them into doing something they shouldn't be doing to their hair, like going from coal black jet dyed hair to bleach blonde like Madonna. You know, that is just not a
No,
healthy,
no.
good choice. So I always felt like too, you charge for, you know, what you're worth. And you may not have as many clientels, but people understand that your time is valuable. And you know, I had people tell me, you're going to laugh. When I first went to Jefferson, I charged $40 for a haircut. Now, when I was in California, it was 80, 85. And they said, how come so much? I go, you think $40 is too high? Thank God you don't live in California, because it starts at like, you know, and you know, and but you lose those people, but you find the ones that appreciate you, like the
Right.
Steve McQueens and the Frank Sinatras, and you know, you kind of get what you pay for, you
Yeah.
know.
True. That's
So
very true.
but what I think is interesting about both of your stories is, even though you know, your worlds apart in your upbringing and your backgrounds and everything, you still had this desire in your heart to find something that you were passionate about. And
Yes.
that's what people are, they close themselves off from it. What do you think would make people take that leap of faith?
Go ahead, Dan.
You know, I often speak to young dancers about, you know, when they're sort of in crisis or they're asking for advice about their careers, and I say, what is your golden dream? Like when you were a child, what were you passionate about? What made you happy? And for those people that don't have a dream anymore, it's like they have to reformulate it. And that's when I find that young people are in crisis, that somehow they have forgotten their dream world. And I think if we can dream it, we can visualize it, we can attain it. And if you cannot dream it, then you don't even know what direction you're going in.
That's true.
Good point.
Yeah.
Very good point. You got to see it. You know, I started out, you know, at 15 years old. I started cutting hair at 15. I was married at 15, had a kid. So I went to barber school to make a living and had no idea how I was going to do. And I started out at the $1.50 haircut. And my goal was to get 20 haircuts a day, $30 a day, and I got 70% of that. And you know, that's where I started. So I had nowhere to go but up from there. But I did it. I succeeded as a $1.50 barber. It's interesting because I ended at $75 a haircut, and you know, focusing on more on teaching hairstylists to do what I did, and also women as well. But I think Dan's right. You have to see it. If you can't see it, then read books, investigate, look at the successful people, and say, how can I get there? You know, cutting hair is a pretty easy way to go to school, but building a clientele is a lot harder. So, you know, getting with somebody like yourself or me for the young hairstylists and be apprentices is critical for their career. These, in my opinion, these supercuts and fantastic Sams and all that, they kind of killed fine hairdressing. And they just don't, they do those fast haircuts in and out, and you just can't do it that fast and do a great job. So I was really disappointed seeing those $6 haircuts, but that's kind of where we're at a little bit.
I think especially with men do not like to wait very long to get their hair cut.
No, and they don't know when they got a good haircut. That's the interesting part.
Well, we all know that. I see it every day, daily. And what is it about men not shaving the back of their necks? It just grows down. Just that is a pet peeve of mine. Is get rid of that fur on your under your hairline. So
They're not taught that, I don't think. They're not taught to do that.
no, everybody just used the clipper cuts here, just does
Yeah.
that. And it's just, they all look like convicts to me. Like men with a head of hair, long,
Yeah.
I don't care, but a style of some sort. So anyway, well, so you guys have written these 2 books and you've told your life stories, which I personally love autobiographies and biographies just because I find it inspiring. It's usually about somebody who came from, not necessarily difficult circumstance, but a challenging circumstance. So, I read everything, but for anybody that's thinking about writing a story, I think everybody should write their own story. And that's what this whole Kathy L. Murphy book, Big Book Love, is going to be about, is that we all have a story and we all need to share it. And one of the biggest thrills I reread my book, The Pulpit Queen Celebrates 20 Years, the other day. And it was about how inspired the readers were about maybe writing their story. My philosophy is, if you don't write your own story, somebody else is going to write it and get it wrong. Right?
Yeah.
So,
True.
if you were to give advice to somebody who's thinking about writing an autobiography or memoir, what would that be?
I think just look at your category and read as many books as you can and see how they put it together. There's the beginning, there's the middle, and there's the end, and try to figure out your personal biography and your personal experience, and try to apply a lot of different techniques to that. There's a lot of people that are really good at it, and you can learn a lot of things from looking at fellow writers, because there's a lot of good people.
Absolutely.
And I also think that when you're ready to write that book, like for instance, I wrote this memoir during COVID, and we went from all these rehearsals per week to a screeching halt. And so that was such a shock to me. And I realized that it was the first time in my life that I was able to be reflective for a long period of time and to feel so vulnerable. And I realized that sense of vulnerability really helped me with writing this book, because it helped quickly distill what were important moments and people in my life that I felt needed to be acknowledged, and what were stories that I thought would inspire other individuals as well. And it doesn't have to necessarily be a dancer, but just someone that's moving through the field of art, or is Asian American, or is even moving from a more rural community to a city community. There were lots of, thinking about that audience, as Jim is saying as well.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
So when we get our books out there into the world and we start, what is the best case scenario of what you've done so far with this book? What's one of the highlights of your book release that you want to share with other authors? Because authors don't have a clue what it's like to get out there in the world and market your book, because you have to market your own book these days. And I'm trying to just give everybody a little push, because I learned the hard way that if you don't, become the sandwich board marching up and down, Big Lucky and Chino and the Dance of the Butterflies, nobody's going to know. I mean, I carry the books in my car. Somebody comes over for visit, I go, "Have you got my book?" I hand it to them. What is your best case scenario?
Well, that's a very good example. I mean, I've been doing a lot of podcasts around the
Yeah.
country. In the podcast, you might meet our book club, and they might have from 10 to 100 people, and share it that way. Like you say, giving a lot of books away, autograph books, friends and ask for help, ask them to help you, and give a 5-star at Amazon. I think you just have to put in the legwork, do the podcast, and do as many interviews. In my life, I've always done a lot of interviews about my past, about my Jay Sebring years and my celebrity years, and having won Entrepreneur of the Year for Ernst and Young. All my relationships, I've tried to commingle with a book now. And so your past is important for your future. And then, like you say, get out and hustle the book and give a lot away and talk about what you did. I think you really have to do that. I mean, there's a time where I kind of backed off a little bit, got a little bit bad with my back, but you gotta put in the time. You just have to put in the time.
Absolutely.
And Kathy, you gave me some great advice, and I really followed that. In that, you had mentioned to me one time that the traditional book signing was sort of dead in a way, right? And that there had to be a new spin. And so luckily I have this dance company. And so we've been able to integrate this setup of a interview interspersed by small dances. And so, we were just thrilled because we had a very successful signing at the National Press Club, at the National Arts Club, at the Arts Club here in Washington, D.C. Every venue that we perform at, from the Kennedy Center to the National Portrait Gallery, and we'll be at the Noguchi Museum next week. Every store carries it every time we're at a venue. And there's an opportunity for me to sign the book at the same time. So it's really become part of not just my story, but the dance company's story, and a way that people can better understand the aesthetic of the company as well.
It's true, thinking outside the box. I know when I went on book tour, they said, well, we want to send you to the bookstores. And I go, what about some salons? I'd like to go to some salons, and they said, well, they came back. This is my publisher, and it was Hachette. They said, well, what if you did big hair makeovers at every one of your bookstore book signings? And I go, what do you mean? And they go, do a drawing, and whoever wins, you have to give them big hair. I go, okay. So I did. I reached out to Raquel Welch's Hair You Wear. And I said, I'm going to need like a lot of hair pieces because I'm going on a national book tour. And so they sponsored me, and they sent me a suitcase full of all kinds of clip-in haircuts. And it got really creative towards the end because all I had was jet black or bleach blonde. And I was in Blytheville, Arkansas, at a very famous bookstore, that bookstore in Blytheville, Mary Gay Shipley's store. And she said, I just had a board meeting because I'm on the National Preservation of Historical Places out of Charleston. And we had it here in my shop. They're staying over, all these people. And I said, they want to meet you, Kathy. And so this woman who was, I don't know, officer on the board won. And I didn't have a hair color piece that matched her at all. So I gave her the Cruella de Vil look. And they laughed so hard. You cannot give anybody really big hair without them crying. And so that's why we started the big hair ball. But I think outside the box. And I was thinking, Dana, I know you go to galleries and you do museums and you do dances, and I think that is absolutely brilliant. And I know, Jim, you have gone to hair shows and spoke. These are the kinds of things. Think about the subject matter of your book and then think outside the box. Because I had an author wrote a book called about two twins, and I said, write to Doublemint and see if they'll give your book as a corporate gift to all their clients for Christmas. And she goes, Doublemint, two mints in one. And so, your book is corporate gifts to dance company members or, hair salons. It just seems like a given to me that, think outside the box. If you have something as specifically that you endorse in your book, like for me, it was Dr. Pepper. I mean, I had a Dr. Pepper machine, and that's kind of the drink of East Texas. And Dr. Pepper just thought it was great. I would send him everything I did. And Bluebell ice cream. I had a drink on Good Morning America that featured Bluebell ice cream. It's the best ice cream in Texas. So, you have to think outside the box. And if you're my authors and you want to do brainstorm about your book and everything, there's a butterfly garden in Houston, Texas. And at the Moody Gardens, that would be a wonderful thing to do a dance amongst the butterflies and then have a book signing. I mean, I'm just thinking right off the cuff, and we watch all these hair makeovers on TikTok. Jim, you should do TikTok tutorials, like little short clips. That would be so great to, share with them tips and show pictures with you doing the stars. But anytime anybody wants to talk to me, if you don't have my phone number, email me. I'll give it to you because it's free. This is my life's calling. This is my passion. Doing art is what I want to do for a living. It's not going so well this year. People are really broke, but sharing stories is what got me to my dream. And I will do it the rest of my days, even if I don't make a dime, kind of like now. But it's okay, because what I think about the time you were the most happiest in your life. For me, it's when I was broke and gone back to school. Just like now, I'm working on my graduate school.
Yeah.
I have never, well, I just found out today I just got 2 scholarships. So,
Oh, that's fabulous. Congratulations.
Well,
Yeah,
it's still not over. I still got to find a job. But, what you have to manifest your own destiny. You have to work hard. You have to try things, and you have to do things that people think are crazy. I mean, I have this pet cheetah that I took everywhere at the end of school, and I'm going to do a children's book to go along with my next memoir, because I want kids to know that, reading is fun. And everywhere I went to the beach in Florida, and I take the cheetah to the pool and set it in a chair beside me. And here comes the kids. They go, "Is that cheetah real?" I go, "It is to me. Would you like to pet Tarzan?" Next thing I know, they want to get their pictures with him. Here comes the parents. "When's your book coming out? Give me your name. I'll add you to my list. We want to buy it. Can I feature your son, your daughter, your family?" Absolutely, Kathy. Doing things like that is, it's life affirming.
Well, what you just said, I think, was critical information for everyone. Do everything you can do to promote your book, do everything you do in life, regardless of what you do. Be real active in it. And I think that's critical for all of us to remember, to keep pushing, to keep doing it, to be more active. And I think that's great information you just said, Kathy.
Yeah. Well, my authors pay for membership, and it's $50 a year. But, I do everything I can. If you want me to share something, if you want to post every single day on my Kathy L. Murphy Big Book Love, I'm going to approve it. I'll probably pre-approve you guys. You can post anytime you want. I want people to know that as much as money rules the world, I think we've seen recently in the news how it didn't work out so well for one person. Greed and power are the world's downfall. Being in service to others, whether you're providing entertainment with dance or service by getting a great haircut, these are the things that will bring the biggest joy to your life. I know it would be really nice to be rich, but I would probably give it all away, because I have so many friends that are so talented that can't get their book published, and they go, "Oh, what am I going to do?" And I publish it anyway. Don't wait on anybody. Just get it out there and I'll help you. And so that's what I'm trying to do. So what I would also like to talk about with both of your books is, what is in the future? What are you going to keep writing? What is something exciting coming up that you'd like to share?
I really think there's a lot of information that I haven't shared that I'd like to write. I mean, it's so exciting to write your story and to go back into your dreams and your wherewithal to see what you did right, what you did wrong. And there's just a lot of information I'm interested in doing a new memoir. We wrote about how to succeed, how we succeeded, and how we failed. And, oftentimes we fail a lot in order to win. I mean, failing is not really a lost thing. It's actually a good thing. It's winning, because you learn what you shouldn't do. And that's really important, because we all fail a lot in order to win a little. and that's what you got to keep doing. So I'm interested in doing another story, a little different than what I did before, but that's what I'm interested in right now. Well, although we really are pushing the book a lot and getting it out there because there's a message that we think is important to winning.
Well, it's true. And for everybody that's out there, you've got to read these books. They're so inspiring. And I mean, I don't pick just any books. I mean, my authors are doing really well. And sometimes it takes years. Like Lisa Wingate took her 30 books. We were with her from the beginning. She finally broke the glass ceiling with 1 million copies. Jamie Ford's over 2 million right now. I mean, and he came into Girlfriend Weekend, talked to me the other day. He actually Zoomed me from France at a writing workshop because 3 of my authors signed up for his, and they all surprised me. I was in my pajamas. I was so embarrassed, but it didn't matter. The fact that a New York Times bestselling author or celebrities such as you two would do this is, that's all I need. I did the best I could with the tools that I had, but I'm learning every day, and you have to be a lifelong learner. Now, Dana, what about you? What would you like to share?
Well, we have a lot of performances coming up. We have this
Yeah.
incredibly full season. We're moving through museums and the Kennedy Center and lots of different theaters. But I am starting to write a new book, which I'm really excited about. And this one is actually a murder mystery that is completely different, but the detective happens to be an Asian American choreographer that runs a dance company here in Washington.
Wow, that is so original. I love it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to read both these books. Wow,
So
this is
it's kind of a behind the scenes, this murder takes place at a major theater. So that's the premise.
Oh, I love it.
Sounds
I
good.
always look for the stories that haven't been told, and these both will be enlightening. And I tell you, I had my agent one time tell me, nobody cares about your celebrity stories. I go, oh, but they do. Because somebody the other day said to me, I was watching Hacks, which is, if you haven't seen
Oh,
that
I love
series, Gene
hacks.
Smart. I've
Yeah.
loved Gene Smart since back in Designing Women days. And I know Linda Bloodworth Tomlinson. And anyway, it's brilliant. And it was based upon Joan Rivers. And I used to do Joan's hair. So that's one of my celebrity moments. And Joan was lovely. And this last season ended with some really revelations with the woman, Jean Smart character's daughter. And people email me and they say, I had no idea that series was, I go, well, think about it. Look at her clothing outfit. She almost mimicked what Joan would wear, and, I'd help her with. But, everybody loves to know. I grew up with a mother who wanted to be a movie star. So I grew up watching the movies and knew all the behind, she had all the movie star magazines growing up, and she wanted to be discovered like Lana Turner and Marilyn Monroe. And so I grew up with that too. So I get real celebrity excited, but I also know that I've done enough celebrities' hair that they're just like you. I mean, they're just people that went after their passions and may have gotten lucky, but there's a lot of hard work involved in that. So I think, whatever you do, encourage some cameos, Dana. You've probably met some pretty amazing people. And I know Jim has. I mean, Jim, tell the audience real quickly about your experience with Leonardo and Brad Pitt for the movie about the Manson catastrophe. Horrible, but it's interesting how you got involved with that.
Which movie are you talking about?
I'm talking about the movie, not the Bollywood, the one set down in the canyon where you were kind of used as a consulting person for the hair.
Well, the last one I did, I've done it for a few of them actually. The one with what's the name of it? Once Upon a Time?
Yes.
What was that movie, Cheryl? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which was
I actually did a lot of it that it ended up being cut out
but I
Yeah.
did all the men's things with Jay and how men's hairstyling evolved. And what we did with men back then is they wanted either short hair or long hair. But long hair, you had to, we cut the shape in and left it long. And so what we went back was showing hairstyles from the 70s and the 60s and up till through today. And they didn't use a lot of it, but I worked hard on the movie, but a little bit, you know, I was on set and interesting to do that. You know, I did a lot more with Paul Newman and his movies than I
Which
did with.
ones in particular? Because I'm a Joanne Woodward, Paul Newman. I mean, they
Yes.
were just the power couple of the day.
Once the life and times of Judge Roy Beam,
Oh,
Portnoy's complaints. I can't hardly remember what they were now.
it's been a while. I've watched all of those, and I
Butch
actually
Cassidy,
I
Butch
I have,
Cassidy, Sundance Kid.
oh my God, I have an
Amazing.
author who lived next door to them up in Connecticut, and she used to babysit for them. And I said, and Paul had passed away, I think, by the time I finally got up to Connecticut to visit. Her name's Prill Boyle. And Prill told me, she goes, well, you know, I was telling Joanne the other day, this, you know, it's been some time back. She goes, that you had a cat named Paul Newman. I said, yeah, because it had blue eyes. And she goes, well, I just want you to tell that Kathy Murphy that she needs to get a cat, name it Joanne. So I said, if I ever get another cat, I'm going to name it Joanne Woodward. So I just
You know,
think,
she's still alive. Joanne is.
yeah,
She's still alive. She's got Alzheimer's though, but
yeah.
she's still alive. We go every year to Serious Fun, and we're sponsors of that.
She
And
was
we
so
go every year.
smart, and she was such a good actress, and I just thought
Oh
they
yeah,
were lovely together. I just thought they were just,
they
you
were
know,
a perfect couple.
yeah,
But their fun, Serious Fun that Paul started before he died is still doing quite well. It's called Serious Fun, and it's for disabled children
yep,
worldwide. And so we sponsor that with Clea Newman, who's running it. That's the daughter.
yeah. It's fascinating, those stories. So, you know, when I tell people those stories, they go, you did Joan Rivers' hair? And I go, yeah, I had a couple of times. The last time I was supposed to do it, I couldn't do it because it was the night of my daughter's graduation. And I got a friend to do it for me, help her with her wardrobe and stuff. And then it wasn't long after that, you know what happened. But, you know, it's amazing to me, the people I've got to meet by being a reader. What is the person that you always thought as a hero that you know, finally did get to meet?
Well, Paul Newman was my biggest mentor. He was actually my life mentor.
That's
And Paul was wonderful. Joanne was wonderful, but Paul was really a good person, for a good friend. He's good for the environment. He's good for mankind. Paul was thinking ahead, the right food to eat, the right recycled material back when it wasn't popular. But Joanne was the same way as him. They were very much alike.
yeah. Yeah. How about you, Dana?
For me, it was George Takei. You know,
Oh my
when I
gosh.
was a kid, you know, used to watch Star Trek, and there were so few Asian American males on
Right.
TV. And I was like, oh my gosh, who is this? And it was Sulu. And so we met and at the National Portrait Gallery one day, and he had a beautiful portrait of himself up there, and he and his husband and I walked through the museum together, and we had this great conversation, and he gave me his book and signed it. And then for my book, which is so kind, he did an endorsement on the cover for it as well. But, you know, I love how he's such an advocate, not just for Asian Americans. You know, he was actually interned in a Japanese internment camp as a
Yeah.
child, but also for LGBTQ
Yeah.
plus community. So is he a lovely person? Yeah.
Well, I can already see I need to make some more connections, because I'm going to have to introduce you to author Prill Boyle, who wrote Defying Women. She said, I wish I'd known you before I wrote that book. I would have put you in there as a chapter, but she lives up in Connecticut. And then I'm going to have to introduce you to Jamie Ford, because Jamie Ford, George Takei, bought the film rights to his story, Hotel on the Corner of Bitter and Sweet. So, there's just, it's all these connections. We're just going to have to forget, what's that other guy everybody thinks everybody's related to? Maybe it's related to Kathy Elmer. We'll just
Kevin
make these
Bacon.
connections. Kevin Bacon. We're all 6 degrees from Kevin Bacon.
Right.
But maybe we're just 1 degree from Kathy L. Murphy. Okay. So we're going to
Yeah.
but we're going to keep doing more of these, and it's not over. So I want to encourage everybody today. Dana, how can they get what's the best way to get your book?
It's sold at on Amazon, at Barnes and Nobles, Politics and Prose. So really at all the big venues for purchasing books.
Yeah. And you can go to your website, Jim.
Or Amazon. Amazon's probably the easiest way to get it.
Yeah.
You got Kindle, you got the Voice or Script, or either way.
I have to tell you, I've only got this 1 copy of Dana's book, but I still have a few copies left from Girlfriend Weekend of Big Lucky. And I got to tell you where your book just went. One of my friends from campus, who's a colleague, a doctor in the research department at the University of Texas, was going home to Pakistan. And I thought, you know what? He's a big reader. I'll give him some books to take on his trip. And one of the books I gave him was Big Lucky. And so
cool.
It went to Pakistan. So you just never know where your book is going to go. And I'm actually wanting to go there because my author friend Debbie Rodriguez has opened a beauty school in just outside the capital, Islamabad.
Wow.
And I can't pronounce it right, but anyway, I would love to go there. And of course, I'm going to India when I graduate. I am definitely going, and I'm going to be taking galleys with me. I'm going to start a book club there, and I'm wanting to paint. So I want to stay a while, and I've got an invitation. Standing invitation to go. So it's just getting through school, saving up so I can go. So you guys are peaches. I mean, I just cannot tell you how wonderful this is and how wonderful your books are, and why everybody that's watching this I'm going to share it everywhere. And here's my second little new thing I've learned. I've been posting all of these up on LinkedIn. Because I found that I'm getting more responses from CEOs and business people about the author's books that I pick by posting it on LinkedIn. So if you do something really amazing, do a short video, do a reel, share it on LinkedIn, hey, I was just talking to Kathy L. Murphy on Kathy L. Murphy's Big Book Love. And, she told me to reach out to all of you. It's all about making those connections by holding virtual hands. And we were just talking about that too, because when my friends came over to visit me and see my art the other day, I talked to them about how Shah Rukh Khan, who's my favorite actor, and his best friend Salman Khan were doing a movie together, and they came out to do this press release, and they were holding hands. And I was so touched by that brotherhood. And so I asked the 2 guys that were in, one was from India, one was from Pakistan. I said, okay, what's the deal with holding hands? And he goes, it's just a way of showing great friendship. I go, well, I'm starting a campaign for holding hands. And whether it's virtual or when I see you guys, we're going to hold hands, because I think that in this world, when people hold hands, you can't argue. You can only smile. The human touch, it's so important. And it has nothing to do with sexuality. It has to do with endearing friendship and empathy. And I just want to join everybody that's watching today. I want you to join hands with somebody and read these books to each other. Get your book clubs on board. Hold hands. I'm telling you, it's like big hair. Everybody laughs when they hold hands. And the last story I'm going to end with was when last time I was in Beverly Hills. Random House sent me out there to do, I was hosting a television show for them called Beauty and the Book Show. And I was the host, and I had 13 Random House authors. And they sent me out there for Lisa C., who is also amazing. Oh, amazing, amazing person. You know, I think Janelle Brown, but Fannie Flagg was who I was going this time with. And we were shopping in Beverly Hills. They wanted to get us shopping. And so we went down Rodeo Drive, and Fanny's from Birmingham, Alabama. And she's just awesome. I love her. Anything she wants to be. So she turned to me and she goes, okay, when they say, you know, get the little thing and say, shoot, go into the store. She goes, I want you to lock arms with me and we're going to skip into the set. And I go, okay. And so, you know, whatever they say, action, you know, hit that thing. And we locked arms and we skipped. We practiced, you know, a little bit before. We skipped into the store. And when we went in, there was this woman in the shoe department. She looked up at us like, oh God, here come the homeless women. You know, yeah, she had no idea who Fannie Flagg was, and she certainly had no idea who I was. But I have never had more fun in my life than I did with Fannie Flagg in Beverly Hills, because she is a storyteller just like both of you. So making these connections. So everybody, this is recorded. It's going to be downloaded onto my Kathy L. Murphy Big Book Love channel on YouTube. It's free. Subscribe. I need 1,000 new members before this launches January 1st. So I'm going to invite everybody to come on board on the 1st for the big launch before your big, you know, family gathering. I want everybody to be there, and we're going to kick it off. And I just can't thank Jim and Dana. I hope you guys will still keep in touch. If you want to do anything else together, if you have any big news, shoot me any. I'm here for you. So last words to our audience today. This is going around the world. Okay. So what's your last comments to everybody?
Well, I think it was, excuse me, I think it was great to that you're starting a new company. Congratulations on that. However we can help you, let us know. We'd be happy to help. It was a lot of fun doing this with Dana. Dana's a great guy, a fellow New Mexican that I hope to get to meet soon. But Dana, great job. Congratulations on your book. And to the audience, I think just remember, you are made to win. You will not lose if you work hard, and don't quit working. Work hard, but you are made to win. God made you to win. And it was fun. Congratulations, Dana. Congratulations, Kathy.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jim.
And I just want to say it was so great to meet you, Jim, and looking forward to meeting you in person someday as well. And Kathy, you are such a generous person, and you are such an artist, and I just really celebrate that. I know we all do. You know, look at that beautiful painting.
I just finished this, and it was inspired by all these African girls who did this dance and fashion show on campus. And I got it all, and I go, you know, it almost looks a little bit like Beyonce. I don't know why.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
Nice.
I had fun with it. I've got so many paintings started here, but I still want to paint you in that lavender. I want a really beautiful picture of you. I would love to paint you, Jim. Have my painting of you in Hawaii. What a dream come true. Washington, D.C. You know, I all my authors out there, I will paint you. I would love to do that, because just the thought of a little piece of me is in your home.
Oh, I love that.
Send me a photo, both of you.
Well, I will.
And this summer, I'm working like a mad woman. So keep it coming. Now, it'll be my rendition of you, but I'm going to make you look good. I'm going to make you look real good. Okay.
I'm sure. Oh, thank you.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you for this broadcast for the Kathy L. Murphy Big Book Love channel on YouTube. It'll be up there probably by tonight. So thank you so much, guys. Keep in touch, and shoot me anything you want to do, and I'll get it out there. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
It's all about the story.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Goodbye. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.